Hey everyone, the Toxic Avenger 2025 remake is directed by Macon Blair and stars Peter Dinklage, Kevin Bacon, and Elijah Wood, which is this combination that I never thought I'd see on screen. It's an odd, quirky superhero reboot that is really not your average comic book movie. It's violent, it's campy, it's heartfelt, and it's bizarre all at once. And it has the feeling of being a stylistic mashup of films like Southland Tales, Venom, Howard the Duck, and films of that kind of category. This film really takes on a lot, and it's been on the shelf since 2023 without being released. So that did raise some big questions for me. And the biggest of those questions is, does this film work? Is it worth the money to go see it, or is it just another one of those reboots? The story centers on Winston, a janitor at a chemical plant called BTH, who's been dealt a rough hand in life. He's raising Wade, the son of a late girlfriend, and doing everything possible to provide stability for the boy. Winston works under Bob Garbinger, the corrupt CEO of BTH, whose pharmaceutical empire just hides a trail of criminal dealings and chemical dumpings. Investigating these abuses is J.J. Doherty, determined to reveal how the company has been poisoning the local communities around it. When Winston turns to his employer to help with a problem he has, he's just rejected out of hand. And a workplace, let's call it incident, leaves him transformed after falling into a vat of chemicals, reborn as the Toxic Avenger. His new identity draws him into JJ's crusade against PTH, setting the stage really for this battle with Garbinger and his ruthless enforcer brother Fritz. That's basically the setup for the film. My first impression of Toxic Avenger, it wasn't great. The opening completely threw me off. It felt like the film didn't know what it wanted to be, and it set up a different kind of film than it ended up being. Worse, it seemed aware that it was a low budget campy knockoff of a character you wanted to root for, but that you just couldn't for a while. The over the top acting, the bright garish colors, and the strange campy noir vibe and the kind of detective whodunit workup that was stitched together at random made the first act feel chaotic and over designed, as if three different films had been smashed together with crayons and blood. But around the midpoint, something shifted. Either the movie finally figured out its footing, or I just got so inured by the madness that I was able to let go and just accept the ride that I was offered. And I just kind of started to enjoy the insanity of the action from that point on. And I could see what they were finally aiming for, not this polished superhero film, but a messy, dirty, heartfelt explosion of mayhem. And once it leaned into that, it actually became pretty entertaining. This is one of the strangest ensembles I've seen in a really long time. And I mean that as a compliment, actually. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I really do mean it as a compliment. The casting feels like a group of friends coming together to make a film, which gives it this kind of scrappy B movie energy where you expect things to get both creative, dramatic, and really messy. Peter Dinklage plays Winston, the Toxic Avenger, and he also plays the voice of the Toxic Avenger. Before the transformation, he brings heart and depth to Winston, especially in his relationship with Wade. There's a tenderness that grounds the film and makes you care about this poor kid. He's actually the one that you care about in the film. After the transformation, Dinklage continues as the voice of the character, while the physical performance comes from Luisa Guerreiro. She deserves credit for embodying the Toxic Avenger's presence. But I gotta say, there was a disconnect between the body and the voice that may be part of why the character seems off a little bit at times and might explain that shift that we just needed in order to connect the two parts of the film together. Not really sure. I'd love to know what other people think about this, but it felt weird to me at times how they married those two things. Jacob Tremblay as Winston's stepson Wade delivers this sweet and believable performance as a boy desperate for love and stability. His bond with Winston provides the film's emotional core, though at times his sincerity feels just a little misplaced in the chaos that's going on around him. Kevin Bacon as Bob Garbinger is pure villainy. He's over the top in the best way, making Garbinger instantly despicable yet weirdly fascinating to watch. He's a fully developed villain and he really does his job well. Taylour Paige as JJ Doherty does what she can with an uneven role. At first, she seems to take it a little too seriously for the movie, especially a movie this campy. But by the midpoint, when things start to kind of fall into place, she kind of relaxes into the wackiness and then it just kind of fits the tone better, the way she plays her character. That shift feels less about her and more about the director's fractured vision, which is, I think, part of the problem. Elijah Wood nearly steals the show for me as Fritz Garbinger, the grotesque and twisted figure who feels like a hybrid of Gollum and Frodo dropped into a modern storybook or comic book setting. From the moment he appears, you really do sense the sadness of this lifelong yes man, someone who's always lived in his brother's shadow. He's weird and he's unsettling and a little bit off, but beneath that, you can catch these glimpses of a person who just needs to be loved or appreciated at the very least. This mix of menace and vulnerability really makes Fritz one of the most interesting characters in the entire film, even if he doesn't get the time to be fully developed. This is unapologetically a comic book movie. It's campy, it's violent, it's oversaturated, and gloriously over the top. It doesn't aim for the sleek polish of Marvel or DC. Instead, it just kind of wallows in the dirt, leaning into the body horror, the family drama, and the corporate greed in these kind of surprisingly thoughtful ways once it realizes that it's better off embracing the chaos than playing it as a straight laced superhero film. What surprised me most was the sincerity with which it handles family. Winston's devotion to Wade shows how love and responsibility can survive in the most bizarre circumstances, giving the story an unexpected emotional core. The violence is extreme. Heads roll, blood sprays, knives and guns fly, but it's presented in such a cartoonish, deliberately grotesque, and I know I keep using that word grotesque, but it really is applicable here in this grotesque way that becomes absurdly funny rather than horrifying. That mix of outrageous gore and heartfelt family drama creates this bizarre tone that defines the entire film by the end. It's very much an acquired taste, one audiences will, I think, either love or hate. The Toxic Avenger leans into its cult comic roots with a deliberately garish visual style, layering the neon lighting, the grimy sets, and the cartoonish gore into a look that really never pretends to be anything other than what it is. It's got this splatterpunk effects mix with the digital flourishes to create something that's truly unique and oddly playful. The cinematography doubles down on that chaos and it tightens up on those close shots to emphasize the details of Winston and Fritz while kind of embracing the Scooby Doo style brawls that push the absurdity even further. Wide shots, on the other hand, stretch the contrast between Winston's small and ordinary world and the oversized villainy of Garbinger's empire. The film really stumbles in several areas, starting with an opening that struggles to find its pacing and tone, which risks losing viewers before the story even takes hold. The world building also feels uneven. Many of the supporting characters are thinly sketched, and the middle act just kind of drags out. Some of the scenes are kind of long, and it doesn't really add up to, full length feature narrative. On top of that, the film runs longer than it needs to, which is kind of strange because it doesn't really feel like a feature-length film. And it feels like they've padded extra material into the film to kind of give it that length that it needed to put it into the theaters. So, is Toxic Avenger ticket worthy? Honestly, this is a love it or hate it movie. If you enjoy campy, gory, comic book inspired oddities, you're probably going to have a blast with Toxic Avenger. But if you need a tight film with good pacing, realism, and kind of more conventional heroes that are not over the top like this, I don't think this film will actually work for you. So you just need to know the type of film that you're getting into in order to know if this is going to work for you. Kids might even get a kick out of it. I really think kids are going to like it. But the violence is pretty extreme at parts. And I think parents should kind of think twice about bringing really young kids to see this film. I think, though, that the movie is really going to shine as a streaming pick. It's fun on the big screen, no doubt. It really is. Parts of it, I should say, are made for the big screen environment. But I think where it's going to shine is in the Halloween viewing with friends at home. It's violent, it's silly, it's weird enough that it could easily become a cult classic. Overall, I'd give it kind of a 6.5 out of 10. If the film had been more consistent in tone, especially in the beginning, and it didn't stumble in that opening and that first section, I think I would have given it a much higher score. But by the end, I still had fun. And I got to say, don't miss the post-credit scene. It's, for me, it was one of the best moments of the film. It added a humorous and heartfelt touch to Winston and Wade's new family dynamic that I don't want to spoil, but I just found it to be kind of endearing. In the end, The Toxic Avenger is this chaotic blend of gore and sweetness, a story where love and loyalty manage to shine through, even in the most odd circumstances. Dinklage's heart, Garrow's physicality, Tremblay's tenderness, and Bacon's gleeful villainy, they all kind of add up to something surprisingly entertaining by the end. So, what did you think of The Toxic Avenger? Did the campy style work for you? Did it push too far into the bizarre? Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious about this one. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Please do give this review a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with a friend if this helped. And while you're here, why not check out one of these other reviews? I'll see y'all again soon. Until then, happy viewing. Bye for now.